What's happening, my brother? How you feeling?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Bye week now, so actually today's the one day the Dolphins work. So I'm over here at team facilities, and then they're off the rest of the week. So yeah, I was hoping I'd get to enjoy the bye week a little bit more, but this weather is looking rough. I mean, it could always be worse, though. Of course, I mean, thoughts and prayers going out to everyone on the west coast of Florida and through the central part of the state, because this storm is no joke.
Yeah, you could be in Tampa, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. So.
By the way, the Bucks left today for New Orleans, so they can't waste any time. They had to leave today for their game this week against New Orleans.
Right, right.
And that's got to be tough for them because they've got houses, family. Are the family going to stay there? Are some of them going with them to New Orleans? Which I would imagine some are being flown over to New Orleans or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I hope everyone gets out of the way. Just get out of there. Protect everything as much as you can and evacuate.
Right. Yeah. So it's crazy stuff. All right. Talk to us. What's going on in Dolphins camp? Where are they at injury wise? Let's get with the easy stuff.
Sure. Yeah. A little bit before we're actually supposed to, because the guys are still out there watching practice, but we did not see, of course, Devon Achane at practice. So, as he goes through concussion protocol, Javon Holland, he's going to be a week-to-week thing. So he wasn't out there. And then Jordan Poyer's still not there, but we did hear Mike McDaniel was a little optimistic that maybe on the other side of the bye. And then also maybe some guys just nursing small things or just resting up. But, we didn't see Jalen Ramsey. Kendall Fuller, of course, we saw, get attended to on the sideline, loosen back up, but he went back in, but he wasn't out there. Did I say David Long? Calais Campbell, Emmanuel Ogba, and Malik Washington as well. So maybe some of those are vet rests. Maybe some of those are just like small minor things that they'll have the bye week to get through. But, a healthy offense and then a lot of guys trying to heal up on defense.
So, and I would imagine Tua's going to be out there practicing.
When they come back, well, what?
Now, when you go out there to go check him out, he'll be out there just throwing the ball and stuff,
Yeah, I mean, when they come back, Mike McDaniel said he's going to be consulting with more doctors this week during the bye. We saw him just chatting with Wes Welker out there. I'm guessing he's more or less fine. That's what I'm reading between the lines. And just that they expect that he'll make it through those phases. They just haven't put him through the phases of cardio work and then the team drills and the stage 5 to get through concussion protocol, all that stuff. So I think they're pretty confident that he'll make it through once they do return to practice.
Yeah. It's just listen, man. They just got to cover their asses, and that's what they did, and that's why they put them on the IR. So they, the optics, because clearly once he went to Seattle, he was fine, bro. And that's the thing about this, man. Everybody's DNA is different. Maybe he bounces back quickly from this shit. Other people, they have headaches and lingering issues, and it lasts a little longer. DNA is different for everybody. Bro, Zonka made a living of leading with his head. And the helmets in those days, bro. The helmets in those days. And they played past the whistle in those days too. And look at him. He's just fine. And he was a human boulder. And nothing happened to the guy. So these are things that we cannot predict. And maybe Tua's just got, a rock head. You know what I'm saying? Well, he kind of plays with the decisions he makes with his body. He kind of does have a rock for a head, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Hey, and you look at Zonka, still alive and kicking, and living a quality life. Like you still hear him on Twitter voicing his opinion. I know I saw his tweet that he was fed up with the way the first half was going in New England. So I know he was watching, and he's active for sure. You still see him do interviews and stuff. So he's got it all going for him still. So you love to see that, but. With Tua, then I did wonder, going back to the start. My initial thought was, hold off on IR unless the indications are that there is no early progress. Because you get this bye anyway, which gives you 4 weeks while missing 3 games. So I would just hate that if it goes like this, where they're 2-3 now, and that at Indianapolis game is so critical. 3-3 at the point where you return with Tua to 2-4. The verses there of that difference, it feels huge. And to
Yeah,
not have Tua at Indianapolis, in case you do lose that game with a backup quarterback, if it's Tyler Huntley again, then it would just eat at me if he was like weeks from the clearance, or like when he could have been cleared. It could come back to bite you at the end of the year. It just feels like I just worry about it.
of course. I mean, the Tennessee game came back to bite you.
Yeah, that one could come back to bite you this year too.
Right, exactly. So yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to win against Indy and make it 3-3, because it just makes it harder to make the playoffs, man. There's only a certain amount of games left, and then you've got almost no room for error. So that is definitely going to be an issue. So you've got to try to find a way. And he announced that which makes sense, that Huntley will be the starter. Right at this point, you're getting more used to him. He'll get you more used to the offense. So you're better off sticking with the same guy.
Yeah, you don't need change again. If that start at New England was a disaster again, then I could see something coming off the other side of the bye week. But right now, you're growing accustomed to him. He's growing accustomed to this offense. He managed it. He operated it much better in his second start than his first one. So you saw how much improvement there was in just 6 days, going from Monday night to a Sunday afternoon game. So now 2 more weeks, then I think you'll really see some good stuff from him, hopefully. And the way the run game got going, that takes a lot of pressure off of him. So keep building off of that as well.
That's, to me, was everything. You know what I mean? Hunley's going to make a couple of throws for you, but he's not going to carry you, and he's not a passer. You got to run the ball. And like I told you in the post-game show, I'd like to see Huntley run more, actually.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think you got to use his legs as a weapon also to help move the chains. But the question is, will Mike doesn't show a consistency for some things like he does for others. And so it's just kind of crazy like that. And you just hope that there's a dedication, to the run moving forward, because by the way, that is also a nice signal for the offensive line, which is much maligned and people pick on them constantly. If you could start doing this more often, I think people would respect the line that's currently there a little bit more.
I was going to say, you had to come away from that game giving the O-line a little more respect for the job they did. So, it's not just running backs when you get that kind of output. Now, I do know there are some advanced metrics that showed how Jalen Wright got plenty of yards after first contact. So, he was running well after the contact. Raheem Mostert, we know can do the things that we saw on Sunday in New England. But several good performances on the offensive line. And it wasn't like they found all their success running behind the same guy in the same direction. You look through it, then they really, it was some outside zone. It was some between the tackles, running behind different linemen. So a lot of good performances there on the O-line. I know like PFF has their different grades for different guys. And I think they had Liam Eichenberg way down there, but there were still some successful runs running behind him too in there. So maybe some of the plays where he didn't grade so well, it was because of his blocking sort of away from the play. But I really liked what we saw out of the O-line, and maybe it's that we're seeing that Butch Berry effect again a little bit as we get a little bit deeper into the season, get more games under these guys' belt, like Robert Jones being a starter for the first time, Aaron Brewer being new in this offense or with these coaches, even though he's a fit, Liam Eichenberg still growing as well. So, Teron Armstead having to come back. And by the way, making it through a game healthy too. Let's not forget that. That was good to see from T-Stead.
By the way, we saw Odell come back. Where's Isaiah Wynn?
Yeah, we are closing in on a full calendar year now since he got hurt in Philadelphia with that quadriceps. And I saw him in the locker room the other day, but just like sort of coming through. So, he seemed to be walking fine at least. I don't want to go speculating, but it certainly seems like
That's what we do for a living.
You're right. It certainly appears.
Come
Right.
on.
Right. Because there were parts of training camp where we saw him doing work on the side, and then all of a sudden he disappeared, and then still on PUP into the start of the year. Now we're coming back on a full calendar year. So I imagine there was some setback at some point, especially since Mike McDaniel would not tell, because he always says when there wasn't a setback. So since he hasn't used that word specifically or saying that there were no setbacks with him, then that might indicate that there was at some point, because he'll always tell you when there wasn't.
Yeah. And the other thing was that they got the tight end involved more this week, which was, I think, an important thing. And I hope that Jonnu becomes a bigger part, of the offense. What your thoughts on Saleh getting fired?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been waiting on this for some time. Timing for this one specifically, it caught me a little bit by surprise. It wasn't like on my radar to happen now. When I saw it, I was like, oh, is it because the Jets are on bye coming back from London? And then I looked like, no, it's, the Vikings did take their bye post London at 5-0 here, but the Jets also actually have a Monday night game against the Bills. So I did find that timing a bit curious. Right before you're still 2-3, which is tied for second in the division, and you're only a game off of Buffalo. Meaning, if you beat them at home, then you're right there. You could actually be the AFC East leader. So I found the timing a little bit curious, but it just speaks to what's going on there with the Jets often in disarray. So not surprised that they eventually made this move, but I was surprised that it's coming off a loss to an undefeated team, where actually you were coming back at the end. And actually not on the bye week for them. That's what I found curious.
What do you got going on in the South Florida Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, just getting some bye week content now. So I think I'll be checking in on the rookies, how they're doing, give you some bye week sort of updates, first 5 games for these rookies. And
I got a guy already calling Chop a bust, and it's like, dude, like, he's raw. Everybody knew he didn't have moves yet. He only has that quick first step. You think he was going to learn technique? It's going to take him a year or two to learn technique and become a guy. This is all pure. You drafted this kid on pure potential. I get that you need the sacks now, so it becomes a little bit more desperation. But if you didn't realize he was super raw, I can't help you, bro. That was Chop wasn't going to turn into a good player right away, dude. I don't know what people were expecting, but your thoughts on the Chop complaints, because I'm getting them already on the chat board.
Yeah, that is one thing. You knew he had potential, but that it would take a little bit of time. He is raw, but it just hurts that you can't get that immediate contribution out of him, given that you knew you were bringing back Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb from season-ending injuries. Phillips comes back, but then now he's hurt again, another season ender. Chubb still isn't back, and then the guy that you did sign in free agency when you let Andrew Van Ginkel walk, he retired. So it's just all that attrition just piling up.
That's bullshit. Everybody uses that, and that's lazy. They got Agba. He's better than Shaq. It became a blessing in disguise. Sure. Shaq retired. So
maybe he wasn't going to come in and do anything. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Why are people harping on the Shaq thing like you and others when you don't mention Agba?
But it's more so. But it's sure. I mean, you release Agba and then you got him back at a cheaper rate coming back. But it's just the matter of how that was the move that you made to sort of solidify. Okay, we'll be able to hold ourselves over on the edge, bring in this guy. And then you let AVG walk at the same time, and then you never even get that guy. It was sort of like not having the foresight that any of this could happen.
Because Agba's really not a fit for this defense, but they had no choice. Now they had to bring him back. And as for AVG, they were worried that he was approaching 29 and he had a Liz Frank injury. So they screwed up there big time.
Yeah, they did.
There's no doubt. I mean, I was an AVG guy from the get-go, and they screwed up there. But I know that's their concerns were he was approaching 29, and he was coming off a Liz Frank injury. So they were worried about taking that chance.
Sure. Legitimate concerns, but Shaq Barrett probably had even greater concerns at this point.
Shaq Barrett was a 1-year Band-Aid. That's just a get-by player. So in the end, you made a better move by getting Agba because he's been terrific.
Yeah. No, I mean, no complaints on Agba. Yeah, had a sack this past game, interception the one before, gotten a pass back down up there. Now, I know that touchdown run against Ramondre Stevenson, he didn't set the edge early,
Right.
which, then it led to, even worse were the missed tackles by May and Holland later in that run. But, it shouldn't have turned into what it did turn into. But still, and then, Chop Robinson is a liability in run defense, as we know. But
Look, Kamara can't even get active.
Yeah. So that's the other thing.
Tyus
Bowser was signed Thursday, practices Friday, and he's up and playing half of the snaps while Kamara's inactive.
But he knows the defense.
Oh yeah, right. So he can slide right in. He knows Anthony Weaver.
The defense.
Baltimore.
Kamara are babies, bro. They're babies, and so that's I can't judge those guys till years 2 and 3.
Oh sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
As far as judging them, it just hurts you're not getting any contributions yet.
Yeah, but that's how it is sometimes.
Sure.
Sometimes you don't get contributions from guys early on, and it takes them a while. Sometimes you'll get an AVG who makes contributions every goddamn time you play him.
Yeah. My God, what a start to the season he's having over there.
No. What a start from the beginning of his career. Every time you played him, he made something happen, dude. He's a ball hawk. Always has been, always will be, dude. Even when he was in Wisconsin with those big-ass pads of his, he was making plays. He was just always around the football, He's just a really intelligent football player. He just has that knack of being around the football, and you just can't teach that kind of stuff. You really can't. Either they have it or they don't.
He's missed at Dolphins headquarters, that's for sure.
Big time. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. That's David Furones _ and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, thank you as always, sir. We will catch up on Friday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Got it. Welt and Rheaume, Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume, for our friends on the West Coast. Welt and Rheaume has helped. They're helping several people already. Okay, several of our listeners on the West Coast that listen to our show. And I know we have more listeners out there on the West Coast, or listeners in Central Florida, or listeners on the Gold Coast that you're going to be dealing with Milton. Do not call the insurance company. Plus, they're going to be overloaded. Call Welt and Rheaume. They have their own adjusters. They send their adjusters. They will assess the situation. Then they call the insurance company for it. You have enough to worry about picking up stuff and taking care of things and your family and all that. Let them kick the insurance company's ass like they did for me and like they've done for so many of our listeners. And they're doing it right now for some of our current listeners that are there right now that are already recovering from the last hurricane from last week. I mean, it's ridiculous. Call Welt and Rheaume right now or save it on the cell phone. 954-966-4646. Roof damage starts at 40 miles an hour. So we could be facing that here in South Florida. So if you have any kind of roof damage, you start noticing any spots on your roof, you might have roof damage. Call Welt and Rheaume. They send over their adjusters. They'll see. Do you need a roof? Oh, you need a new roof. And they're going to tell the insurance company, and you're going to get your roof. So call Welt and Rheaume, 954-966-4646.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.